guys, I have to say, very uncharacteristic of the ninja. Usually you can see him tossing shurikens and wielding those nunchucks fairly early on. Bisu looks like he's just about getting ready to make a push now, but Zero does have a decent number of units, and he does have lurkers, crucially, and I'm not sure if Bisu has seen those lurkers, because I haven't seen a robotics facility for him, I haven't seen an overlords. Bisu now trying to take that overlord down with the Corsairs. He should be able to take that overlord down, but Zero's got a couple more overlords coming behind, and Zero doesn't have the speed upgrade yet on those overlords, but Zero does have lurkers, and that's going to probably put paid to Bisu's plans, because again, I haven't seen an observer out for him, I haven't seen a robotics facility. I'm sure he must have gotten a robotics facility up by now, I just probably haven't spotted it, and the robotics facility is only just now finishing for Bisu, so he's still a little bit away from getting observers, so that's going to cancel any plans he might have had of making a push and putting some pressure on his opponent. Zero's going to be able to take the territory early on in the game right now. He's going to have a little bit more maneuverability on the map, a little bit more control on the map, simply by virtue of the fact that he's got lurkers and Bisu can't see them, and now Zero using that to take the expansion at the 6 o'clock position. Bisu meanwhile looks like he's expanding at the 1 o'clock base, and again both players just continue to macro up, and this is almost like a 10-minute no rush game, guys. We've had a 10-minute no rush TV, well, left versus right, I guess, not top versus bottom between these two players, and Zero just now securing his ridge, putting those lurkers down. We've seen how powerful Bisu can be at breaching that ridge with his storms, and how effective he can be with it, and he's going to have to do that. He's going to have to be at his game, at the top of his game in that regard right now, and Bisu now securing his 1 o'clock expo. So Zero with the 4 bases to Bisu's 3. Pretty standard Zerg versus Protoss so far by both players. Neither player really doing anything crazy. Bisu did go for that DT build. I just worry that Bisu not doing any economic damage to Zero early on is going to regret it, especially considering the build he went for. That he might pay a price for it later on. Now Bisu coming with the Corsair, trying to snipe an Overlord. Zero almost very careless. Bisu could have killed that Overlord, but he pulled out at the last second, but careless by Zero as well, leaving that Overlord vulnerable for so long. Meanwhile, Zero's hatchery at the 6 o'clock position almost complete. Bisu's getting that expansion fully up and running at the 1 o'clock position, and Bisu continued to build up his forces. I guess the Zerg also has to be careful. He cannot let the Protoss player build up too large a force, because that Protoss ball, when it moves out, can be quite deadly, and if the Protoss player can keep his units together. But we've seen some good StarCraft from Zerg players on this map, and generally the dual Evo chambers up for Zero as well, and he's really pumping out the economy, he's pumping up the upgrades, and Bisu cannot allow this to continue for too long. He's got a lot of Dragoons out, and obviously he realizes that he's going to need them because of the fact that his opponent's got so many lurkers, and he's going to need them to breach his opponent's defense. Zero's now got this expansion up and running at the 6 o'clock base as well, and Zero bringing a lone Overlord in. I wonder if that was for a drop or for a scout, but that Overlord's going to get taken out before it can really do anything. Zero sending a couple of Scourges in, and if he had those Scourges better positioned, he could have been able to lure those Corsairs. Those Corsairs might run right into those Scourges. The Scourges coming in, one of the Corsairs almost gets taken out. One Scourge hits, second Scourge hits, one of the Corsairs gets taken out, two of the other Corsairs manage to escape. And again, I feel that Zero did, from watching Zero play so far, it feels that his multitasking could take a little bit of improvement. Bisu now circling around, ignoring that ridge, looks like he's going straight for Zero's natural expo, where he knows that Zero will not have his defenses as strongly in place. So Zero pulls his units back quickly to his natural expo, borrows a couple of lurkers, and Zero with lots of queens out. Zero with 4 queens. I don't think I've seen this in a while. 5 queens against a Protoss player. Could this be the surprise package? Bisu with 3 observers, with the Dragoons heading in. Zero desperately trying to get some Sunkens down. He's got the queens. Will he be able to bring them into play? And exactly what is he going to do with them? Zero bringing more of his forces around from that ridge. Bisu concentrating his attack. Zero's got a couple of lurkers in play. He's trying to take the overlords, and I think he managed to pick off take the observers down. He's managed to pick off one of the observers, but a couple more still alive. But Zero's defense holds with the lurkers. Bisu with some great storms, and Zero now gets Sunkens up as well. Zero keeping those queens still in reserve. I guess he's not finished researching whatever it is he needs to research. He's got the 5 queens in place, and this could be completely awesome, or it could become a mega fail, guys. But this is going to be great if Zero can pull this off. Bisu, I don't think, is aware of this. Obviously, he's not been able to get the observer in place. And obviously, versus Protoss, you have a chance of doing something like this. Versus a Terran, there's always a chance that you get scanned. But versus a Protoss, you have a chance of keeping that kind of tech hidden, keeping those units hidden. Bisu now, with his units still circling around. Bisu, I think, with a reasonably effective attack, he fought Zero where Zero's forces weren't, and whittled down his opponent's army, keeping, I think, a large part of his army alive in the process. I think he lost some Zealots, but he managed to keep a lot of his Dragoons alive. But he wasn't able to breach where he was trying to. Zero rebuilding a couple more Sunkens in place. He lost a couple of Sunkens there. He's now positioned his lurkers well as well. Bisu once again coming down, going for that National Expo, trying to push ahead, trying to lure Zero's units out for him to storm, keeping his Dragoons in place. Great storm by Bisu, catching a lot of Zero's Heartless in the process, and Zero taking some heavy damage to his units. But he will be able to reproduce them. But Bisu's doing a good job here of whittling his opponent's forces down. Crucially though, he hasn't done any damage to Zero's economy. Bisu meanwhile taking that 12 o'clock expansion. It's interesting to see how Bisu has decided to go for the natural expo as opposed to battling over that ridge, which can be a pain to take. But the natural expo also seems to be well defended. The Zerg player able to defend comfortably, but Bisu now being the aggressor right now, and it's just a question of when those queens come in. Zero doing a good job of sniping one of the observers, but Bisu's got plenty of observers to spare. He's still got a couple alive with his main force, so he's not at any risk of being caught out. Bisu keeping his force relatively mobile. Usually the Protoss force isn't as mobile as other forces. It does take a while to move all the way around the map, and there are chances of Protoss units getting caught in the middle, getting sniped. And now looks like Zero is ready to bring those queens into play. It'll be interesting to see exactly what he does, whether he's going to use Brutling on those High Templar. He's got those 4 queens there, and it'll be interesting if he's going to try and Brutling those High Templars. That would be pretty awesome if actually Zero went for that. Zero now coming in with the queens. Looks like he's ready to go for it. Zero with the queens, and 1 High Templar, 2 High Templars get taken down, 3 High Templars get taken down, 4 High Templars get taken down, 4 High Templars killed. Bisu only gets the 1 storm off on Zero's forces, and just like that the queens come into play. Bisu's forces now in trouble because Bisu's going to be surrounded, because Zero's going to be able to circle up from the ridge. Bisu's force is still stuck there. Zero circling around with the lurkers coming in, cutting off Bisu's retreat. Bisu is stuck in the Valley of Death, and his forces are about to be slaughtered. Masses of lurkers behind Bisu's forces. Bisu losing dragoons and archons left, right and center. Zealots storming into Zero's natural expo. Zero needs to move those lurkers in, however. Bisu's zealots are doing some massive damage. Those lurkers out of range, and Bisu just trying to inflict as much damage with his forces as he can. Archon goes down. It's just the zealots that are left now, and those zealots are going to get cleaned up as well, and Bisu's going to lose his entire ground force, and a Protoss player cannot afford to do that because a Protoss army takes a long time to build up. Zero with the queens, using them as his joker, using them as the ace card, brings them in at a time where Bisu just did not expect them. Perfect snipe on 4 High Templar, and that is so painful. I'm not sure if Bisu's got some High Templars out, but I'm not sure if he's got storms. Zero trying to get Bisu to waste the storms. Zero coming in with the queens again. Another High Templar gets taken out. Bisu does manage to get a storm off, but this is horrible for Bisu with a storm trying to catch the queens. He does massive damage to some of the queens, but Zero is now pushed up and almost been able to take Bisu's ramp. Bisu in huge trouble here. You really cannot, as a Protoss player, afford to lose your entire army. And remember, Zero kept most of his lurkers alive at the end of that battle, and now Zero has taken enough territory to be able to assault Bisu's 12 o'clock expo, and Bisu is going to be losing this game, guys. It looks like Bisu might be losing and potentially be going out of this OSL. Zero with the surprise package of the queens, and that's what happens when you leave a Protoss, when a Zerg player completely unharassed. Zero with masses of lurkers burrowed at Bisu's 12 o'clock, and Bisu in huge trouble. Huge trouble. Zero broodlings Bisu's High Templar, and Bisu just doesn't have an answer for it. Bisu bringing the Archon out, bringing his own super unit out to try and counter, but that Archon almost getting intercepted by the Heartless. That Archon manages to survive, just manages to escape. Looks like Bisu has resecured that 12 o'clock. I think Bisu might have been able to retake that base at the 12 o'clock expo, but Bisu is just not looking pleased at all right now. Zero with his main force heading towards what looks like Bisu's natural expo. Looks like Zero's main force is positioned just outside Bisu's natural expo. He's got 4 queens still, 1 queen going roaming. Bisu's got a zealot there and observer, so he should be able to spot this queen coming around. Bisu is rebuilding that defense at that 12 o'clock expo. That queen not able to really do much and getting spotted and gets taken down by the dragoons. So queens are very expensive. If you can pick them off, if an opponent goes for them, that's why people go for them so rarely, because once they are really a surprise package, once they've been revealed, it's very hard to make use of them. Bisu with a couple of 3 High Templar. Zero looks like now he's ready to go for Bisu's natural, but Zero's going to find his forces pincered in here. You don't really want to be there as a Zerg player because you want your lurkers to be able to concentrate their fire. Bisu with some great storms catching Zero's lurkers, and Zero doesn't have a lot of army right now. Zero does have the Heartless. He's trying to snipe Bisu's units. Zero managed to take down the dragoons and the zealots. Actually, Zero doing okay. I thought for a second Zero might be vulnerable there because Bisu did get him in a pincer, but Zero with the Hydra is doing some great microing. Bisu now coming in again from behind, trying to get Zero off guard, but Bisu's really fighting with the skeleton forcer. He just hasn't been able to recover, and Bisu's forces do get taken out. Now the queens come in for the finishing maneuver, and I'm not really sure. And those High Templar are Bisu's last hope, his last defense, and Zero's just going to come in and snipe them. And that's going to be horrible for Bisu, but unfortunately for Bisu, he doesn't have the energy, so Zero doesn't even need to use the queens. And now Zero is burrowing at Bisu's natural expo. Those photon cannons coming under heavy fire. Bisu does have that Archon still in play, but he hasn't been able to use it. One of the photon cannons goes down. The lurkers having with the forge is about to go down. The Archon comes and dies instantly, not able to do anything. And Zero is going to take this game, and Bisu is going to be 1-2, and he's going to have to rely on Huashin to win in the hopes of getting a tiebreaker to be able to get through to the next round of the OSL. Tremendous StarCraft by Zero, really innovative, using those queens. And I've got to say that Bisu's got no one but himself to blame. He didn't harass the Zerg economy at all. If he had gone in for a drop, perhaps with a shuttle, he might have seen those queens at least and had a chance against them, even though he would have probably lost the shuttle with his units in it. But Zero with the surprise advantage of the queens. What a great game of StarCraft, and Bisu just completely caught off guard, and I'm not sure, and Bisu just perplexed. He just doesn't know what hit him there. Well, he does know what hit him. It was the queens, and I'm afraid Zero's queens have put a skirt on Bisu, guys. This is Klazart. Thanks for listening.